Good morning. We just finished our exterior pre-trip. We're going to move to an in-cab and a brake test. First thing we do is we always get in using 3 points of contact. Shut our door. Okay, we're going to do an in-cab and a brake test. First thing I always do is my seat belt. It buckles, unbuckles, and does rebuckle correctly, so the buckle is working correctly. Next, I cover my seat belt. It is not damaged, it is not torn, it is not frayed, it is in good working order. Okay, my next step is a safe start. First thing I do is I make sure both my brakes are applied. That would be the trailer and the parking brake. I make sure my truck is in neutral, as the truck won't start in anything but neutral. I cover my brake. I make sure my key is in the off position if it's in any other position. I turn the truck to the on position. My gauges sweep from left to right and return back to normal. My ABS light came on and came off. I then turn my truck on. Okay. Right now I'm waiting for my primary and secondary air tank to reach between 120 and 145 PSI, at which point my governor cutoff will let me know I need to start my first of my 6 brake tests. While we're waiting for that to happen, I'm going to go ahead and start rolling through my in-cab. I like starting with my safety equipment. On the side of my seat here, I have a BC fire extinguisher. It is properly mounted and secured. It is fully charged. It is not cracked, damaged, or have any malfunctions. Typically in the in-cab, we have 3 reflective triangles that we need those for our accidents or any malfunctions when we break down. I have my spare fuses in my glove box over here. From there, I usually like to go up high, and I start with all my glass. I start on my driver's side glass. This is my driver's side window. It is not cracked, damaged. It works properly, it goes up and down. There are no illegal stickers, nothing blocking my view. It is clean. Just outside of my window, I have my flat and my convex mirror. They are properly mounted and secured. They are not damaged, cracked, loose. There's no illegal stickers. There's nothing obscuring my view or blocking it. They are adjusted to me, and they are clean. Just inside here, these rubber strips on the inside of the window are called window seals. They are properly mounted and secured. There's no abrasions, no bulges, no cuts. They don't leak. That will get water on you and makes for a nasty day. From there, I slide over to my primary windshield. Same thing. It's properly mounted and secured. There's no abrasions, no bulges, no cuts. Nothing is cracked, damaged, or loose. There are no illegal stickers, nothing blocking my view, and it is clean. Just like my driver window, I have a seal. My seal is properly mounted and secure. There's no abrasions, no bulges, no cuts. It is not leaking. My air governor just went off between 120 and 145, indicating it is full. We're going to start our brake test and return back to our in-cab in just a moment. So I have to do my setup for my brake test. I'm going to do my first 3 of 6 brake tests. Let's roll into the setup. The setup's pretty straightforward. I turn the truck off without taking my hand off the key. Turn it back to the on position. My gauges will sweep. My ABS light comes on and off. I put my truck in drive. I then proceed to release both my parking and my trailer brake. Okay, my setup is done. From here, I have to move into my 3 brake tests. My first brake test is called my applied brake test. The information you need to tell the DMV employee is very simple. When I apply pressure to my brake pedal, I should lose no more than 4 PSI in 1 minute. Get the DMV employee involved. Ask him, hey, Mr. DMV, can you keep a minute for me? For purposes, I actually have my own watch. I'm going to start now. I'm putting pressure on my brake pedal. I'm holding it for 1 minute. Okay, my minute has passed. I take my foot off the brake. I lost no more than 4 PSI in a minute. First test is done. We're going to roll into our second brake test. This is the low pressure test. Very simple. I just tell the DMV employee, I'm going to pump or fan my brake pedal until my PSI falls between 60 and 55 on my air tank gauge. Then pump your gas pedal. Excuse me, my brake pedal. Alright, at this point my light and buzzer have both come on. Tell the DMV employee the light and buzzer have come on. That's the end of that test. My third test is the emergency activation test. I'm going to continue to pump my brakes until my PSI falls between 45 and 20, at which point my parking and trailer brake will automatically apply. Key thing is to get up high, look down at them to make sure they actually pop and you can see the little divots pop out from the console. All I have to do is just now pump the brakes. There went the trailer. There went the parking brake. Both of my brakes have applied. Okay, that's the first 3 of 6 brake tests. I now need to roll into a safe start so I can build air pressure to do the last 3 and finish my end cab. So, doing a safe start again. Because I'm in a brake test, I can't touch my brakes. They are both applied. I just watched them automatically pop out. I return the truck to neutral. I put my foot on the brake. I put the truck in the off position. I turn the truck back to the on position. My gauge is sweep from left to right. My ABS light comes on and off. I can now start my truck. That is a safe start. Tell the DMV employee that so you get credit for it as well. Okay, while I'm waiting for my pressure to build back to 120 to 145 and my air governor to cut off, I'm just going to continue on with my end cap. I have my windshield washers. Do need to cover windshield washers and fluid. They are properly mounted and secured. There's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. The fluid does work. The wipers do work. They are in contact with the windshield itself. I kick out all the way to the side here. I have a windshield, a window seal, a flat mirror, a convex mirror. I'm going to do all of that the same way as I did my driver's side. That brings me back to the center of my truck. I like to do my oddballs now. My oddballs consist of my air horn, my city horn. This is the setting for heat and defrost. You do actually have to turn it to that and turn the heat on as well. You bring your hand up, you're feeling for the defroster to work, check. You're feeling for the heater to work down here low, check. Please turn it back to air conditioning so you don't sit at 84 plus degrees. Okay, those are my oddballs. Brings me back to center. I like usually covering my lights next. My headlights and clearance lights are on. My high beam is on. My left signal comes on. My right signal comes on. Let's go ahead and shut those down. High beam off. Headlights and clearance lights off. Okay, that zones us down into right here in front of the steering wheel. We have all of our gauges. The thing with our gauges is they're pretty straightforward. All you got to do is make sure they are working correctly and they are at the proper level. So I just start right up here. I have a voltage gauge. It is working correctly and at the proper level. I have an oil gauge. It is working correctly and at the proper level. I have a water gauge. It is working properly and at the proper level. The RPM gauge. All I have to do to make this show it works is tap my gas. It'll raise and go back to natural. Down here in the middle, I have a fuel gauge. It is working correctly and at the proper level. Next to it, I have a miles per hour gauge. I can't actually show you it works because the truck is not moving. This is the wordy part about the gauges here, is I have a primary and secondary air tank gauge. They are either filling or full. When they are full, they are at 120 to 145 psi, at which point the air governor will kick off or make a noise, and you'll know they're full. Right below that, I have my depth gauge. My depth gauge is working correctly and at the proper level. You don't actually need to cover this gauge, and this gauge are not gauges I need to cover in this truck. Just do a quick wrap up to make sure I didn't actually miss anything. Seat belt, fire extinguisher, 3 reflective triangles, spare fuses, glass, seal, mirrors, flat and convex, windshield, seal, windshield wipers, window, seal, mirrors, air horn, city horn, heater, defroster, headlights, clearance lights, 4-way flashers. I did miss my 4-way flashers. Nice catch. High beam, left turn signal, right turn signal, all of my gauges. Well, that pretty much wraps up most of my in-cab. I'm not going to tell them I'm done with it until I'm finished with all of my in-cab and all of my brake tests in one shot. Let's go ahead and give a little bit of gas and try to get the governor to kick on. There's our air governor. Okay. For the first 3 brake tests, the truck has to be off. For the last 3 brake tests, the truck has to be on and running, because we're going to be moving the actual truck and trailer at certain points. We're going to do 3 more brake tests to finish up our 6 brake tests in total. We have 2 tug tests and a service brake test to do. I'm going to do my trailer tug test. So I'm going to put my foot on the brake. I'm going to put the truck in drive. We're doing the trailer first, so I'm going to release my parking brake. I'm going to tug against the kingpin and make sure the brakes on the trailer hold firm. Tell the DMV employee the trailer brakes are working. Now I have to apply my parking brake. This put my truck in automatic neutral. Watch out for this. Make sure you put your truck back in neutral. Okay, I now have to check my tractor brake. To do this, I release the trailer brake. I put it in drive. I'm going to do a tractor tug test now. When I push the gas, the truck should just gently rock, making sure the brakes hold it. Alright, put my foot back on the brake. Apply my trailer brake. Tell the DMV the tractor brakes are working. Alright, my last test. This one's a little bit wordy, guys. This is my service brake test. I'm going to move the truck forward at approximately about 5 miles an hour. I'm going to apply the service brake. Hit the steering wheel moves left or right while I'm not holding on to it, so hands free, guys. It indicates I have a brake problem and need to get them serviced. So, foot on brake, truck in drive, release parking brake, release trailer brake. Again, hands free, move the truck slowly forward at 5 miles an hour. Apply your brake. Steering wheel did not jerk violently left or right. It shows I do not have any brake damage, Mr. DMV. I do not need to get them serviced. Until you apply both your brakes and put it in neutral, you are in the service brake test. Now I'm not. This will conclude my in-cab and my full brake test. Thank you very much for watching, and hope it helps.